Recce Pharmaceuticals is expanding and fast-tracking Australian trials of its superbug-fighting synthetic anti-infectives. With the details, I'm joined by Recce Pharmaceuticals Managing Director and CEO, James Graham. Welcome, James.
Hello, good to be with you.
So how are you accelerating and widening your program of trials?
We have seen a wonderful safety profile demonstrated across over 60 healthy volunteers in our phase 1 study in Royal Adelaide Hospital or CMAC clinical trial facility. That has resulted in the ability to broaden our infectious disease portfolio to not only include new indications of against UTI infections, but also the addition of indications among an unmet medical need population of diabetic foot ulcers. Running in parallel to that, we were looking to go for a phase 1B, phase 2A for sepsis. So it really lends itself to this new class of antibiotics, demonstrating an excellent safety and tolerability profile with indications, obviously, of efficacy in our burn wound program presently in the background. So it's an excellent time and exciting time for the business.
And of course, we hear so much about antibiotics and bugs' resistance to them. Is this addressing that issue?
Look, it's the first new class in over 40 years. In fact, we are the most advanced new class of antibiotic anywhere in the world. And that really is demonstrating the ability to work and keep on working with repeated use, a fundamental challenge of existing antibiotics to date. So there's a sign of new hope in the fight against superbugs as we move through these clinical programs. So yes, it is a lot of promise on the horizon ahead.
Now, you mentioned the new clinical trials that are planned by Recce. Can you tell us a little more about these?
We really have a portfolio approach, and I smile because it is a little bit of a mouthful. We have an intravascular program, which has completed its phase 1 study, intravascularly administering at least 6,000 milligrams of our compound in a 1-hour period. Through that study, we've seen an incredible concentration of our compound in the urine or bladder, which necessitates the investigation of opportunities for UTI efficacy infections. In parallel to that, we've broadened our burn wound study, which is that umbrella of topical infections, burn wounds, diabetic ulcer infections, as this new program is, and obviously looking at to the parallel being complicated skin wound infections. There's a lot going on, but with the upside opportunities of efficacy indications against these deadly superbugs, with, of course, the traditional regulatory activities that are correlated, it's a very busy time to be in business.
So when are these new trials likely to get underway?
For the UTI side of things, we expect first patient dosing very early next year. We've got the facility, we've got the clinicians, we've produced the compound in its lovely vials made out of our manufacturing facility in Macquarie Park, but it's actually in the leading teaching New South Wales hospital that we would expect the first diabetic ulcer infection dosing. It's on track for October, but let's just say the coming quarter.
Now, if we go to your ongoing topical burns treatment trials at the Fiona Stanley Hospital in Perth, how is that work progressing?
Our burn wound infection studies, led by Professor Fiona Wood, Dr. Ed Rabi, and fellow burn wound experts, continues to see patient dosing at that leading teaching hospital in Western Australia. Building upon the demonstrated ability to work against the broad spectrum nature of infections, we've expanded our topical program, as we refer to it. So if we think of that as an umbrella, within that, we have our topical burn wounds, which is a study progressing in Western Australia. We're bringing online a diabetic ulcer patient population. And I think as part of that umbrella topical effect, we'll see a mix between the two programs to potentially also go after complicated skin infections. So it's building an umbrella or portfolio approach with a topical method of administration that the burn wound program really set the foundation for.
So if we look overall, what would be the latest as far as the ideal timeline for getting some of these treatments to market?
The pipeline of new antibiotics out there has never been drier. The need has never been greater. So we work arm in arm with the regulators, whether that be here in Australia under the TGA or the United States FDA. The regulators are ultimately the ones who will or will not see a product approved for market. But with the topical administration and the areas that we've brought online through this acceleration and expansion of our programs, we do expect that they'll have a shorter time to market, perhaps in some instances as little as 2 years. So we are very pleased with our positioning as part of our portfolio approach of this new class of anti-infectives.
Well, it's certainly getting close. So thank you so much, James. James Graham in the boardroom for Recce Pharmaceuticals.
Thank you.